Aura Moody, a 64-year-old social worker from Queens, a mother of two no less, decides to enjoy a night out at Citi Field to watch the Mets. Now, considering the state of New York's transit system at the moment, you might think that's punishment enough, but wait, it gets better. She arrives at the stadium wearing that signature red cap, Make America Great Again. And suddenly she's approached by stadium staff who inform her that her hat is, quote, too political and that she must remove it to enter. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I wasn't aware that expressing a political opinion, which, by the way, is protected under the First Amendment, last I checked, was grounds for fashion policing at a baseball game. Okay, so let's pause here. This is a baseball game in New York City, not the gala at the United Nations. Since when did supporting a former president become a disqualifying offense for America's favorite pastime? Are we now vetting fans based on their wardrobe choices? Like, maybe next time they'll have a questionnaire at the gate. On a scale from CNN to Fox News, where do you get your information? Oh, and by the way, nothing about political clothing is listed in the Mets dress code policy. So Aura, being the reasonable person she is, tries to negotiate. She offers to put the hat in her bag, but no, that's not acceptable. They insist she must remove it entirely from the stadium. Meanwhile, other members of her group, who also, by the way, are wearing MAGA hats and just happen to be white, waltz right in without a sideways glance. Interesting selective enforcement, don't you think? You would think this would really catch the attention of the left, who is really in love with identity politics, right? Well, feeling singled out, Aura asked to speak with a supervisor, and their response? That's the policy. Ah, yes, the age old excuse of, I'm just following orders. Anyone? So Aura complies to avoid ruining the evening for her friends, but the damage is done. She's been humiliated, her rights trampled upon, all because she dared to wear a red hat, a piece of clothing expressing her political stance. So now she is suing the Mets for $2 million for emotional distress and violation of her free speech rights. Some might say that's excessive, but is it? How else do we hold organizations accountable when they blatantly disregard constitutional rights? A simple apology doesn't cut it. Look, the Mets later admitted that a staff member was mistaken about the attire policy and offered to retrain their staff. Well, that's reassuring. Next time, maybe they'll post a list of approved slogans at the entrance. At the end of the day, this isn't about a hat. This is about a growing intolerance for differing viewpoints that is seeping into virtually every corner of our society. When did we become so fragile, so weak, so, insecure that a simple slogan on a red cap is deemed dangerous and offensive? What's next? Banning jerseys because they might offend fans of the opposing team? We are in real time witnessing a slow erosion of the freedoms that have made this nation great in the first place. Freedom of speech isn't just, for the speech we agree with. It is, the most important, the most crucial when it protects speech that we disagree with. That's why conservatives, that's why independents, that's why Republicans, you don't see them, going after Democrats as far as their rights, as far as their free speech. All this censorship seems to come from one side, and it's not the right. It's not, centrist. It's not independents. If we start curtailing, if we start letting the left curtail someone's rights just because someone's their feelings might get hurt, then we're only going to end up with a society where the loudest, most aggressive voices are heard while the rest are muzzled. And to be honest, we're not that far from it. Aura's experience is a cautionary tale. It's a reminder that if we don't stand up for our rights, no matter how, basic or for granted they may seem in the moment, we risk losing them altogether. Today it's a hat at a baseball game. Tomorrow it could be something much worse. So the next time you head out, whether you're, going to the movies, going grocery shopping, or, for you parents, taking, your kids to their after school activities, sporting events, etc., wear your beliefs proudly, wherever that may be. And if someone tells you to take off your hat because it's, quote, too political, maybe it's time we ask ourselves, as a society, when did expressing an opinion become a political act? And when did enjoying a baseball game require ideological purity? Just asking. So, when it comes to Trump, I think a lot of the reason why people don't like him is obviously there's media bias, but we think of bias as like negative news coverage usually, right? We don't think about the suppression that goes on because if something's being suppressed by nature, we don't know that it's being suppressed. Well, I think there are a lot of good news, feel good stories that speak to Trump's character and that speak to the character of Trump's family, which obviously shaped who he is today. So a few days ago, Trump held a rally outside of Uniondale on Long Island. I made a video about that. Well, while people were waiting in line, there was a man who actually was personally affected, personally touched by Trump's father. And he interrupted a live news broadcast by Real America's Voice to tell this story. I'm just going to let this play out because I think it's a powerful story. And I think stories like this get suppressed because the media don't want to air anything. The mainstream media, corporate media, don't want to air anything that is sympathetic to Trump. Take a look at this.
I have an amazing story to tell you real quick about what President Trump's father, Fred Trump, did for myself, for my brother, for my sister, for my mother. 1974, my dad suffered a major heart attack. I went to the same school as Donald Trump, the Q Forest School. 3 days after my father's burial, there was a knock on the door one school morning, 7 a.m. I answered the door. It's a distinguished gentleman. I was 10 years old. My father just died. The gentleman said, "Kid, call your mom." I called my mom from upstairs. She came down. Gentleman said to my mom, "I am Fred Trump, Donald's father." And my mom says, "Yes, I know Donald went to the Q Forest School." And Mr. Fred Trump said to my mom, "Yes, Mrs. Rem, very sorry about Joseph's death. And what you don't know is I'm still on the Board of Trustees at the Q Forest School. And this morning, I let Headmaster Mr. Philip Rogers know that from this day forward, myself, Fred Trump, out of my own pocket, is going to pay for your 3 children's tuition because I don't want the kids have to go back into the public school system." And the tuition in 1974 was $2,500 per child, $7,500, which is about $80,000, $100,000 in today's money. And who would do that except the President Trump's father? The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree, and they give the Trump family grief. The Trump family is a wonderful family, the entire family, sorry. And who else? Can you picture Joseph Biden, a committee? They care about us buying another mansion. I'm going to tell you, the Trump family is wonderful. I love you, Donald. I wish I could shake your hand. It was my mother's last dying wish to shake your hand and to thank your father, Fred Trump, for what he did for us kids in 1974 in Forest Hills, New York. I love you, President.
Thank you for sharing that.
I mean, that is emotion that you can't fake. You can tell that, like, he was obviously a kid when this happened, and to this day, decades later, not only does he remember it, but like he realized that that was life-changing for his family, for 3 kids to get to go to college for free, and then, you know, that obviously it doesn't take away the grief of the mother, but like what a blessing to have that financial stress and that financial burden taken off your shoulders. And again, you know, it's not like Fred Trump went out for publicity. It's not like Trump talks about all these things he does for people. I mean, these are people just coming forward with these stories of how, you know, they have been personally affected, blessed, touched by the Trump family. And I think these are, you know, the types of stories that unfortunately just don't get the light of day from the mainstream media. Last but not least, did you hear that Kamala Harris got a brand new endorsement? A huge endorsement. The NTEU, National Treasury Employees Union, has officially endorsed Kamala Harris for president. Yeah, in case you haven't put it together yet, that is the union for the IRS. Because who doesn't love paying taxes? If my tax man is endorsing them, I mean, that's quite the pitch, isn't it? Like, seriously, anyone, are you, raise your hand, leave a comment. Are you more likely to vote for Kamala Harris now that the union for the IRS has endorsed her? Woo! Yeah, I don't think that's the endorsement they think it is. Ugh. As always, this is my analysis, my commentary, and I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think about any of these stories we talked about today? First, it was Aura and her red baseball cap, and, she was basically banned from going into the stadium unless she put the hat in her car. What do you think about that? And especially the fact that now in the lawsuit itself, it alleges that white members of her party who were also wearing Trump gear, including the hats, were allowed in. Not a good look, especially for the, party, the side that claims they're all for diversity, right? Not a good look at all. What do you think about the story about Fred Trump, Donald Trump's father? And then, seriously, if the IRS endorsement is swaying you to vote for Kamala Harris, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear the logic, if there is any, no offense. But yeah, if you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.